Seahawks 24, Redskins 14. Up next for Seattle, the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, up next for Washington, there'll be a whole lot of second guessing about Mike Shanahan's decision to leave a very obviously injured and maimed RG3 in the game until he literally could barely move. For Redskins fans, it was certainly a magical ride over the course of their team's 7-game winning streak, and even the first quarter of Sunday's playoff game against the Seahawks. But after RG3 was hobbled on their second scoring drive, the question became, and will now be for the next several weeks, did the coach do the right thing by allowing the player to remain in the game, and should the player have stepped up and admitted to himself and his teammates that he could no longer be effective enough to help his team win? If you ask Robert Griffin III, there really is no debate.
Just to tackle the next question, I don't feel like me being out there hurt the team in any way. I'm the best option for this team, and that's why I'm the starter.
RG3 went there without being prompted because he's a smart enough guy to know that the question people will be asking, since his team ended up losing the game, is did he hinder his team's chance to win the game because he chose to stay in? At first, I was a bit taken aback by his response. To be honest, found it a little bit arrogant that RG3 felt like he, on one leg, was a better option than a healthy Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, who, by the way, came in for RG3 against the Ravens and helped lead the Skins to an overtime win, and who also went on the road at Cleveland just to keep that winning streak going. First, it felt like RG3 was not only wrong in his assessment of the situation, that on one leg he was the best option, but he was also wrong for even coming out and saying that. But I thought about it a little bit more, and I'm still not sure that he was right in the fact that on one leg he was the best option for his team, but I don't know that he was necessarily wrong for feeling that way, and that even moreover, he was wrong for coming out and saying that he felt that way. Look, in order to be great at anything, you have to believe in your abilities, almost to the point where confidence meets arrogance. And really, the folks who are great in their fields or line of work, they believe under almost any circumstance that they are the best at what they do. It's why great basketball players want the last shot. It's why great attorneys want the high-profile cases, and why people in the business world want the high-risk, high-reward stocks. Because of their belief in their abilities, they trust those abilities over the abilities of their peers. You know what? Until RG3 couldn't stand anymore and he was crumpled in a heap, he believed he was going to lead his team back to victory. Now, obviously in hindsight, that didn't happen, but the belief is why, really, the Redskins were in the playoffs in the first place, instead of the Cowboys or even the Giants, two teams that may have been a little bit more talented, especially the Giants, but because of RG3's belief in himself and his abilities and his team's belief in those abilities, the Redskins reeled off 7 straight victories and found themselves in the playoffs to begin with. I don't think for a second that while everybody else is second-guessing, I don't think for a second that RG3 is second-guessing himself or even feels the least bit guilty about his decision. That's what makes great people great at what they do. They don't second-guess themselves. You take a guy like a Johnny Manziel, a Heisman Trophy winner from Texas A&M, and I promise you, he believes in his abilities, and he doesn't second-guess himself out there on the field. For a redshirt freshman, you can tell that kid believes that he is the best player on the field, and quite honestly, it shows. It was very evident that Friday night against Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. Take a guy like Andy Dalton, for instance, with the Bengals. 2 years in the NFL, 2 trips to the playoffs, Pro Bowl appearance last year as a rookie. Andy does a lot of really nice things. And the one thing, though, is that I do believe that he second-guesses himself. I love that he's a humble guy and that he says all the right things. And you can tell in the field that he's a competitive player, but I would still love to see him trust himself a little bit more and trust his abilities more and almost maybe be a little bit more arrogant in those abilities and in his decisions. Even when he was hobbled, you just get the sense that RG3 still felt like, right or wrong, he was the best player on the field Sunday, and that's why he stayed in the game. He felt that way, and quite honestly, the Redskins coaching staff obviously felt that way. The reality is, he wasn't. Wasn't even the best quarterback on the field Sunday after he got hurt. While everyone else will be second-guessing, Robert Griffin III won't be. And you know what? You have to admit it. That's what makes him great. And if he can stay healthy, which after one season is certainly a big if, that's why I don't think he's going to have many regrets about this loss to the Seahawks. I think he believes the Redskins will be back in the postseason, and he believes that next time the outcome will be very different because he's the quarterback and he believes he's the best player on the field.